Yeah, this is the pregame show before we actually get the the notification that goes out. We got this down to a science now. I think it's working. I mean, yeah, just how it is. Yep, told you. We got the notification. Here we go. I'm gonna go to YouTube so I can you know, interact with your comments. Let me touch this. Ah, face tracking. Boy, this is so cool. I'm actually really digging this Pocket 3 because it's different. Now, you know, I'm a big advocate of Prism Live Studio, and I got to know the developers, and namely Jake Song. Hey, how's it going, Rob? Fist bump. Namely Jake Song, you know, the lead developer for Android. He's been such a huge help. He's actually I started a line group for, you know, live streaming tech, and a lot of the major live streamers that you know and love are there, but Jake is also there too, because a lot of his, I mean, we all use Prism Live Studio, right? And so it was great having him in that group. I'm digging the Pocket 3 because it's, excuse me, sorry. I'm digging the Pocket 3 because it's different. For the same reason that I really liked using the Insta360 camera that I had. Now I had the X2. Gosh, I'm sorry. All night long I've been talking, everything's great. I go on a live stream and suddenly I got like frogs. That's how it is. Good evening, everyone. MJ here. We're from Taiwan and Hukou, and this is actually on, I'm going to say, the western side of the highway. The police station's down there. All the Thai places are here. Rob, if you know where this is, oh gosh, you had to ask me. Well, actually, you didn't ask me. What's the name of the street? I don't know. Renhua, I think. Anyway, police station's right down there. So talking about the Pocket 3 and how cool it is, you know, it's like the next level thing. But I really enjoyed the X2. So I got some upcoming projects. And quite frankly, I sold a big bunch of gear, had some extra money. So I bought the Insta360 X4. Now I have their thermal cage on it, which is interesting because if you film a lot of 8K, this thing heats up because, you know, it takes a lot of processing, and they have this little thing that you stick on the back so you won't like burn your hand. But it comes with removable lens guards, which is cool because, you know, the original didn't, right? The X2. This thing doesn't live stream. I'm like, what the heck, guys? I was on the app today. Okay, so, you know, you got to use the app to activate this thing. So I got it, and, you know, my family's eating. What am I doing? I'm not eating. I'm playing with this camera. And so I got the app open, and I, you know, turn it on, and it's a firmware update right away. Okay, great, all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm looking at all the functions. It does a bunch of functions that the X2 doesn't do. But guess what? Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. I should have perfect. I should have absolutely perfect video here because we got like screaming hot internet. So I'm not sure. But thank you for the signal report. I appreciate it. Anyway, this has a lot of functions that the X2 doesn't have. And I'm really happy so far with the tests that I've done. And I got the 3-meter selfie stick so I can put this thing in the next county if I want to. It's amazing. But the fact that it doesn't do live streaming just blew me away. I actually turned on and connected my X2, which is, you know, 2 iterations before this, and the app shows, you know, the live streaming tab shows up. So I thought I would fake it out while that live streaming. Wonder why that is. I have it set on ultra low latency let me do this because I can go to the yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I can edit this. Oh, I can't edit those other things. Yeah, you know what? I don't think I can change the bandwidth part of it now. That's too bad. I was gonna see. Hey, Mike Piss Pump. I was gonna see if I could. I have it on ultra low latency, which I've been using lately, but I think that only equates, mostly to the comment stream, but I could be wrong. But excuse me. I kind of faked this thing out. I had my app open and I had the X2 because I keep this stuff with me all the time. I mean, I got this man bag. I got my phone, and a charger, but the rest of it is gear. I got selfie sticks, monkey tail, chargers, cables. I got this thing. I got mounts. I got the Pocket 3 and the mics. It's crazy, right? But hey, that's the life we live, right? But I had the X2 open in the app and I just turned it off and turned the X4 on to connect, and nope. The live streaming tab went away. So we have, okay, good, excellent. Thanks for the report. I didn't do anything, but thanks for the report. So there is a Taiwan, Insta 360 chat group. It's a Facebook chat group, and I posted in there today that hey, my X2 live streams, my X4 doesn't. Is this acceptable? I don't think it is. And I went into the DJI community, and I found a guy that said he was saying yeah, it is Sunday. Which incidentally, that's why I always use the date. If it's after midnight here, I'll use the date from the previous day because it is actually the 17th here. It's Monday because it's after midnight. But if I say it's the 17th, people in the States on the other side of the date line are going to go, what? What's this? Anyway, so I posted, my X2 can live stream, my X4 can't. Is this acceptable? And I get a couple thumbs up, but there's always some smart ass guy, and he's like, sell it. So I wrote back and I said, okay, 25,000 NT, that's yours. I can't wait to see what he says about that. No, that's not what I meant. Yeah, I know what you meant. You're being a smart ass and go away. But anyway, but here it is, and I really like it. And the store that I bought it at gave me an aftermarket case, which is cool because it's got a hole in the side so you can flip the door open and charge it. And it's also got a little spot here. You can put a carabiner on it if you want it. And I always like, zipper pulls. But one of the main things that's different about this is the X2 has this door that opens up and it hangs off. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a plastic lanyard that has like a bullet head on it. You can pull it out of the hole or shove it in, but this is actually just a hinged door. So it just flips up. So much better. It's a lot bigger. The screen's huge. And the other thing too is it comes on really quick. If you just press the button and it comes right on. And it's amazing. Boom, it's that quick. The X2, man, if you're in the woods and you see Bigfoot with an X2, you're never going to get him. By the time you boot the X2, he's going to be in the next state. But it's really a nice camera, and the resolution on it is fantastic. And so I got this for a couple specific projects, and so let's talk about that. Now, everybody knows about Rob Kilo. He's been very conspicuous in the last, several live streams. And he and I have been talking a great deal over email and instant messaging about a lot of things that we have in common and some viewpoints and so forth. And he has done a tremendous amount of research, way more than I have. on the local area here in Hukou and in Xinfeng, the adjoining city. And so we have decided, and I'm going to basically make an announcement, we have decided that we're going to collaborate on some projects. And our intention is, that's the table. Our intention is to start a new YouTube channel where we do some explorations. And it's the kind of explorations that, of course, we are into doing. It's nothing about, you know, paranormal or ghosts or anything like that. But what it is, you see, I guess if I had to say a tagline, it would be keep your eyes open. Because people tell me, oh, MJ, I wish I lived in Taiwan. It's such a cool, interesting place. Well, it is a cool and interesting place because you don't live here and you've never been there. But every place is cool and interesting to someone who's never been there. And so I encourage people, no matter where they are in the world, I don't care where they are, they can find something interesting. They can find some history. Like Matthew, for example, one of my most loyal followers from way back when, biggest supporters. He lives near an area that has some very old canals and canal boats. I just think that's fascinating. I remember doing mapping work and running across the Erie Canal. I was like, oh, that's so cool, because I remember that, you know, from when I was a kid, right? And even was Tennessee, Ernie Ford, you know, did a song about that. So you can find interesting things wherever you are. And Rob actually has found the remnants of a Japanese air base that was built right towards the end of World War II, kind of when they were losing the war and rather desperate. There's some question as to whether it actually saw any service, but we tend to think that there must have been at least some aircraft parked there. But not only, I mean, Rob himself didn't actually discover it. I mean, some other people discovered some of the artifacts, but what he's done is he's mapped out what he thinks is probably the perimeter of the airfield. And it's pretty well established, supposedly, where the runway was. So we're going to explore that. We're going to fly with a drone. We're going to walk it on the ground. We're going to use the 360. We're going to use the Pocket 3. We're going to use whatever tools that we have to try to document this. No, we're not going to try. We're going to do it. We're going to document this. And this is the kind of stuff that we want to do on this new channel. We have no idea what we're going to call the new channel. But we're going to tell people, keep your eyes open, because here's the thing. You see stuff on maps. And when you look at maps and you go, wow, that looks weird. Well, that should trigger some interest. And people, I don't get this. I almost never say I'm bored, but I hear a lot of people say I'm bored. How can you be bored? There are so many amazing things that you could be doing. And I think people in general don't like start study projects. And you know, it doesn't have to be Bible study, but that's fine and that's good. And I like that and I do that too. But what I'm saying is it could be anything. See, sometimes people think it has to be like a scholarly thing or something. No, it can be scholarly in another way. So it's mostly about the journey, like everything else. It's not about, you know, arriving at the destination. It's like what you had to go through there to get there. And sometimes you got to go to the library, got to go on the internet. Sometimes you got to go out in the field, walk it and say, wow, people stood here that were involved in this. That's the kind of stuff that we want to do. And there's probably, oh, thank you. There's probably, I would say, there's enough stuff just between, like, let's just say Hsinchu County, you know, whether it's you know, Hukou, or whether it's Xinfeng or anywhere else, Xinpu, or you know, any other small towns and villages. There's enough stuff just in this county to keep us busy as explorers and researchers, probably for 5 years, maybe 10 years, who knows? There's a lot of stuff here. And the other thing is, Taiwan was very heavily involved in World War II. And I was telling Rob just yesterday that one of my friends, yes, about being curious, exactly, not just about being an academic, it's about being academic, which means to go out and look at things, go do things. So, yeah, it's the book learning is fine, but you got to get out in the field, and you got to like beat the bushes and see what's going on. Because there's a couple things that we're going to look at. I think we have probably decided on the first project, but we're going to meet later this week and hash that out, and make some notes and start, getting some action items down that we need to do, right? But there are a couple of questions that we have that can only be answered by boots on the ground. There's a building in particular that we're looking at. The shape of it has a particular design, and we think it was particularly shaped to perhaps give the impression of something that it wasn't. I don't want to reveal too much because I want you to watch the video. But what I'm saying is, we need to look at the structure and see, was there a facade that has been removed? Because the thing is, so much time has passed, and a lot of people, like Rob pointed out, some of these military buildings, as soon as Japan surrendered and Taiwan was, how should I say this, awarded, I guess is the term, to the nationalists when they came here. The nationalists came right in and basically converted everything that they could convert into instantaneous profit. And often it meant stripping things down. And so we just don't know what the original intent was for this one particular building. But if we can get eyeballs on it and scrutinize it, we may be able to find some remnants. Who knows? But at least we can talk about it. At least we can present it. And even if we don't find anything, we'll tell you that. But we'll tell you why we were looking and what our hypotheses were. So it's going to be great. I've been doing this this talk show thing, and I had a national talk show in the United States, and I like it. I liked doing national talk. It was pretty interesting, knowing that you crack the mic and 10 million people in 50 states would hear you. But there's something about having a collaborative effort and having somebody else do some of the narration and so forth. And different people bring different talents and abilities, to the table. And so what it requires is, it just requires you to not have any ego and understand, oh, that's for you, you're better at it. Oh, that's for me, I'm better at it. That's how it works. So we're going to be meeting later this week and talk about specifically what we want to do for a first video. Now, what's really interesting is, I'm going to say this just because it's amazing. It's very infrequently that you meet somebody where you have such an alignment of interests and understanding of things, like simple things that make a huge difference. Like, for example, this bugs the crap out of me. So many YouTubers over-introduce. Oh. They might be walking down the street in New York City talking about the club scene, and it's like, but in 1979, Casey and the Sunshine Band released this song, That's the Way, but it has nothing really to do with the subject. And they don't seem to understand that what they need is a separate video that introduces themselves and what they do. So every time they do a video, they don't have to go, hey, I'm MJ Klein. I was a field engineer for 30 years. I'm a GIS and GPS mapping expert. And why would you say that every video? But you see people that do that because every video they feel like they have to qualify themselves to do it. We ain't doing that. We're not going to insult your intelligence in the first place. we're going to do an introduction video. Hi, I'm so-and-so. This is what I do. Hi, I'm so-and-so. This is what I do. Yeah, watch our stuff. Bye. And then when we get into the videos, it's going to be a short introduction that's very pertinent to that. So, no, it's seriously, man. I've seen this so many times. It's crazy. Yeah, I've seen it so many times, right? You don't know how many videos that I've watched, right? And I do this. Maybe I shouldn't. But I read in the comments, the content starts at 5, colon 23 or whatever it is. When they start getting into it, just so people can, like me, they're scrolling forward. They're looking for the little mountains, on the view indicator. Yeah, I just don't want to be one of those guys that people are going, will you get to the point? Will you hurry up? Okay, what's this about? So it's going to be, hey, it's us, and we're at this place, and we think it's cool and we think it's this and this. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is, and Rob is really good with the maps and the graphical part of it, which is amazing. He showed me some stuff that it was jaw-dropping to me. So we're going to be incorporating all of that stuff. It's not going to be just, two guys walking around and yakking. There's going to be, some definite map work, and we have a few interesting things to present that talk about angles. And what I mean by angles is when you look at a map, these are actually bearings. Railroads and roads have bearings. There are in degrees, right? Degrees east of north. And the point being that these things matter because they match up further out. And so we're going to be doing some of these graphics on the maps. And, in a very, very, very small way, I kind of had fun with that when I did the Tofu Rocks video. To me, the Tofu Rocks video was a joke. Let me start out just by saying the music, first of all, I said to myself, what am I going to do for the soundtrack for this thing? It's a drone video, so I want a drone, and it just goes boom, 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 boom. So I said, okay, we got that covered because it's a drone. But basically, I didn't understand why a breakwater would be such a big deal, but I treated it as it was a personal joke for me, but I treated it as if it was very important. And that's why that video has the tone that it has. I flew the drone really, really slow. And the funny thing is, drones don't record video. Drones don't record audio. But there are sections where, like, the drone is descending and focusing on the water that's trickling between those blocks. I went to my sound effects library and I said, okay, brook, babbling brook, dropped it in there. So I added these things, right? Excuse me. It's not because I'm trying to fake it, because the video is real, the place is real. I'm just giving you some ambiance, right? So we have the tools, and Rob is also an accomplished mixing and mastering engineer, which is like, oh, thank God. I got somebody, I don't have to tell him anything. You just say, hey man, okay. So this is this is gonna work, like amazing. So here's what Rob says. He says, I think I touched on this in one of your last streams. It's the Wikipedia faction of online discourse, which has normalized an expectation of academically attributing things that are totally obvious. That is about the most British English thing I've ever read, and you are absolutely 100% correct. And it's like, oh. Yeah, the things that are so obvious that are just, I understand. But it's okay to give background, you know, and like, why are you here? But the history lesson. I mean, like when I went to the Longten Bridge, you know, I had a little piece of paper with me, but I had like one paragraph. I said, you know, this bridge was built by the Japanese in this year, and the next year, you know, it's important. It fell because of the earthquake and stuff. But I didn't get into like, you know, the Japanese acquired Taiwan through the Treaty of Shimonoseki in 1895 and also because that has nothing to do with anything, you know, and it's like, I really like it. And I'm going to say this, Rob, you probably do too. When somebody will say, you look, if you want to know more about this, just go to Wikipedia or whatever. I'll leave a link in the description if you're too lazy. But yeah, the point is, you know, let's scroll forward and get into the meat. So that's what we're going to do. So he and I, Rob and I, we see completely eye to eye on this. So we're going to have a channel that's not, I mean, I got more fat on me than we're going to have in the, yep, 100%. I got more fat on my gut than we're going to have on the videos. The videos are going to be trimmed because it's not going to be, you know, what you need to know to understand the context. And if you want to know more, okay, then look up this and that and that. But that's about it. Because I just sometimes, and you know what I'm saying, what Rob is saying about the, it's normalizing an expectation of academically attributing things that are totally obvious. Some of these people, they feel obligated like to be a teacher, a history teacher or something. And it's like, And the other thing too, and Rob, you're probably going to fall off your chair and nod your head. I'm sick of those damn stock videos, the stock footage videos where they're telling you nothing. We're not a single thing. They never went and photographed anything. They're just dragging, you know, and it's some guy doing a voiceover. Who cares? I hate those. There's so many Taiwan Strait crisis videos that are just stock videos of like, you know, missile launchers and stuff, and like, you know, personnel carriers. And it's like, yeah, right. You fell off your chair. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I can't stand this. And I call them out. I will say, this is bull crap. This is another pointless stock footage video. Please stop making these. So we're not going to do that. I'm not saying that we'll never use stock footage, because if there is a need where, yeah, the AI voiceover, yeah, I know. It's like, we both have, you know, large capsule condenser microphones, and so, you know, my voice isn't so bad that I can't do a voiceover, and there's no reason you can't do a voiceover. But I think it's important that we each do voiceover work because we're the hosts of the show. Gosh, I hate that. But it's just, if you're going to use a stock video, it's because it's necessary. And there are some cases where a stock video can illustrate something. But I'd like it when it says, you know, stock video or something, so you know that, wow, did you really film that underwater footage? No, I didn't. I went to Shutterstock and dragged it in, so yeah, none of that stuff. So anyway, we're gonna meet next Wednesday. It's gonna be epic. Wish we could live stream it. But we're gonna, I think we have probably sort of decided, you know, on the first project we're going to work on. And there's one thing that Rob made very clear to me at the beginning, and I totally agree with that, is that it's got to be quality over quantity, because a lot of these guys just sit in their living room and make videos, you know, about gear and stuff, and that's cool, nothing wrong with that. But it's every single day, and the videos are all the same length because they're trying to hit the algorithm and stuff. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is doing a good job reporting something that's very interesting. And the educational side of it is important. The informative side of it is important, much more important than any of the demographics, you know. Oh, how many views do we get? It's nice to get views and it lets you know that, you know, people appreciate the content. But so, Rob, why don't you go ahead, because you're in the comments. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what it looks like we're going to do for the first project, and that's the one it's actually very close to where we both live. The one that we were talking about earlier. That would be, I mean, I can't think of anything better, and we can do the drone flyover. The great part about it is it's not in a red zone. It's in a 60-meter limit, which is 200 feet. So the great part about it is you'll get it. Yeah. He's saying, for those of you who can't read the comments, he's saying there's the lost airfield. Yeah. I was alluding to this earlier. And the drone we can fly around the perimeter and along where we think the runway was, but not just us. There are some researchers that firmly believe that the runway was in a certain area, and we're going to fly it. And at 60 meters, that's not unlike a low-flying plane maybe coming in for a landing. And he says, but there's also the lost railway that passes right where you live. Actually, the truth is, that lost railway, this is bizarre, guys, and I never knew this, and I'm so glad that Rob pointed this out. I'm really glad that we met and started these discussions. The railway, the lost railway, not only goes through the intersection right behind my house, but it also apparently goes just a little bit north of that park where I live stream from often and just did on Thursday. It's like a stone's throw away. Now the problem is everything's changed, everything's new, but in Taiwan there are some old and untouched places. There, like in my neighborhood, there's some Ming Dynasty stuff. And if you take a ride down to the, you know where the, Rob, you know where the Baozhong Yimen Temple is, right? You go down there, but the road between my house, you know, 117 down the hill, take a left, that's full of like super old, like Ming Dynasty buildings that are owned, they're privately owned by families that they don't maintain them because they're like old junky buildings, right? But there's a lot of that stuff there. So yes, we may be able to find in some of those areas where people have refused to modernize or you know, repair things, we may actually somehow stumble across something or another. It could be as simple as a patch in the road, like where rails were taken out and they put a patch over it. Who knows? So we just got to check that out. The other thing too that I'm anxious to do with Rob is a walk around, and we're going to be, I mean, hopefully I can lose some weight. This is funny. I'm the one that should be called Kilo, not you. I want to see if there is evidence of that fault at the end of my neighborhood. There's two, in my neighborhood there are two villages. One is Shengli and the other is Zhongxing, or actually Zhongxing. And so Zhongxing, I see you. Okay, well, I don't care what you look like, man, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So Zhongxing, at the end of Zhongxing village, there's a place that they call the ecological park, but they got like a tank park there and stuff. And right in that area is where the the fault line runs through. Oh, that's cool. Well we should call ourselves the Kilo Brothers. Who knows? So it'll be hilarious. We're gonna have plenty. Believe me, we're gonna have plenty of self-deprecating opportunities. So that's not gonna be an issue. But I want to walk around and I want to walk around and just film everything, you know. And the thing about it is this is one thing that I appreciate about doing this kind of content rather than live streaming, is because you don't know, guys, how many times I've done a live stream, especially when I'm doing like a man on the street, like at who knows, just even a night market walking around. And I look at the live stream later and I go, how did I miss that? Or I misunderstood what somebody said. And I'm like, what I'm saying is there are so many lost or missed opportunities with live streaming, and you can't go back. So what you can do in the field is when you're walking around and you're shooting stuff, you go, hey, what was that? Look at it, go back. Oh my gosh, no, we need to go back and get more of that. And so you just go back and you do more of that and you put it into your production, but nobody knows when you got it. Nobody knows you had to go back and get it. So there are so many things that you can do, you know, with the edited content. I really haven't gotten too much, you know, into that. My personality is more of a live streamer, that kind of thing. I think having the background of the national talk show is largely responsible for that. But yeah, sometimes I watch these live streams and I'm like, you buffoon, what did you do? It's like, why didn't you take a left there? Why didn't you just look over there? And I'm at home, I'm watching it on the 60-inch television. I'm like, because usually I'm looking at my phone, and the Pocket 3 is even worse. The Pocket 3 is like, you know, the Pocket 3 screen's like this big. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this kind of content, kind of a change, you know. And I don't want to use my channel for this. I think my channel has too much pollution. I just don't think the match is going to be good. So we've been talking about this. We're going to go ahead and figure out a name and a logo, corporate ID, and a theme song. But the good news is, I think I have a candidate for the theme song. It's a piece of orchestral music that I've been writing for another project where I actually wanted to do a movie trailer. So it already sounds like a movie trailer. So I've been kind of alluding to some of the stuff I have in the back of my mind, and sort of like pet projects that if I do it, okay. If I don't do it, okay. But maybe we can bring them a little forward and actually do something with them. So yeah, I'm going to be submitting some of this music to you, Rob. See what you think about it. We can work on it and come up with something that's so. But we can't have a 3-minute introduction for every video. I think the best introduction I've ever seen, Casey Stern, who does Camera Conspiracies. He's kind of an acquired taste, if you will, but Camera Conspiracies is a good channel, and he does his own music, which I really admire. And he actually has on a music website, where you can download his tunes and buy them. And he's got a tune that's about cameras and different kind of cameras, because his whole thing is he's looking for the perfect camera. And so he's got a little clip, and it just goes, all I want is a perfect camera. All I want is a perfect camera. And that's it. And I was like, wow. And the visuals are really amazing. And I have watched 100 videos, and every time that little jingle comes on, I think it's so amazing. It's an amazing piece of work. So it doesn't have to be, a 3.5 minute long single, a verse, chorus, bridge, solo, so yeah. So we have a lot to consider. And I guess this is more or less an announcement, although I didn't title it that way. I titled, hey, live from 7-Eleven LOL, because this place is a trip. It is, it's actually 1 minute until 1 a.m. And Rob, you got to go because you got to get up early tomorrow. But it is like people are, getting packages and they're sending money and there's this crazy stuff here. So, but this is a 7-Eleven that used to have draft beer, and I don't know why they don't have it anymore, but maybe it's because it got out of hand. But I'm going to tell you one thing. This is crazy. I have a friend named Rene. He's from Switzerland, and he lives in my neighborhood. And he went to a hot pot place in Jubei across from the Sheraton, and they have hard liquor on the buffet, all you can drink. And they've got whiskey and rum and vodka, and it's just, it's crazy. So yeah. Lack of discipline. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And that kind of bugged me about the music business too, because I was living in Boston, and I was there when punk hit. It's like, oh, anybody can play. No. No, you can't. I mean, at least you can't play well. There was a band that their whole thing was, oh my gosh, they would show up at a gig and take their instruments out of the case, and whatever condition they were in when they took them out of the case was how they played the gig. They never tuned them. It was just dissonant, and but you got 400 drunk people in the club and they don't care. It's like, okay. And they're making money and they're diluting. I mean, they got a record deal, and somebody else that can play and sing didn't. So yeah, you need the discipline. But the truth is that you can be very undisciplined and still end up being a star. Just like my song that, Portrait World. You can be a star without any skill. That's how it works. I live in a portrait world. A place where people judge another's worth. Social media at its worst. That's just how it is. So we're gonna move away from that, and we're just gonna do what we think should be done in the way that it should be done, and let the cards or the chips or what do you want to call it fall where it is. And I don't care if I get no followers, because you know what? I want to do this project for me, for my own education, for my own interests, because I love maps, and I've always, when I was a kid, I always loved to look at maps and then have my father or somebody drive me to the place that I saw. And then when I got old enough to do that, and then when I got paid to do stuff like that, doing these, I did a lot of RFI investigation too, but doing, what I did was, I was the broadcast engineer in New England that had to do before and after measurements for cellular site installations. Yeah, I know we are. This is what's so amazing. So, if you've got like a medium wave, like an AM radio station, and they've got several towers, and you put a cellular tower close to it, it becomes resonant and sympathetic, and it can change the pattern, which is a big no-no, because the reason you have multiple towers is so you can aim the nulls and protect other stations that were there before you. And I was the guy in New England that did all of those studies. I've done hundreds and hundreds of them where I have to take USGS maps and my GPS and do trigonometry and figure out, you know, so I got a radial here and a radial here, and I got this distance here. It was really amazing stuff. And it was like, I remember I made $4,000 US in one day for 6 hours of work in like 1999. It was huge, huge money back then, right? But boy, did that give me like a boots on the ground. I mean, I know for a fact that I was finding places within a 6-meter radius using a geological survey map, GPS as it was back then with selective availability, but also with a good old-fashioned compass and like sighting on different objects, and taking my ruler and my mapping style compass, which is different than the, you know, lensatic one, and actually drawing lines and say, yep, I'm absolutely at this spot, and then taking a measurement, you know, of the field intensity at that frequency. So that kind of stuff was really valuable. So what happened was, I got a couple of guys asked me, said, you know, do you want to go orienteering with me? And I said, no. And they said, why? I said, because it's too easy. And I'm like, what do you mean it's too easy? I said, listen, you could just drop me in that forest, and within 20 minutes, I know exactly where I am just by triangulation. So, yeah, it was amazing, but that's not any more amazing than the stuff that you're doing, you know? And so I think we both kind of bring different things, but almost the same thing. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of synergy there. So that's what you need, though, if you're going to do a collaboration and partnership. If everybody knows the same thing, if everybody's good at the same thing, what good is that, right? So, yeah. And some of the best collaborations I've seen where people were just completely different. It's pretty amazing. So, yeah, we're going to be the Laurel and Hardy of GIS. That'd be pretty funny, huh? Oh, talk about a genius. A genius coupling of talent there, boy, oh boy. But yeah, so that was a really interesting part of my life, you know. And the best, I'm going to tell you this, for me, the best part of that job was, it was a company in San Antonio that would hire me, right? So now this is what Rob said. He said, this is funny. He says, law, okay, he's laughing out loud. I got pushed into an orienteering competition in my early teens, and the only challenge I had was hay fever. It's ridiculous. Yeah, orienteering is not that difficult. But if you're one of those ladies that has a poodle in her pocketbook, yeah, you're going to have problems. But, you know, and there's one other thing that I wanted to tell you. Oh, Rob, this is amazing. I just remember this. You're going to love this. I forgot. I was going to write you a message and tell you this, but there's a guy named Dan. I got to find his surname. I forget. Longtime Taiwan expat. And the reason I know him is because he left comments on my blog. I've had a blog since 2005. I stopped updating it like 2018, but it's got a lot of history on it, right? I got like something like 10,000 photos on it. He was talking about the high-speed rail, and when it was started to be implemented, they didn't even have the high-speed rail on the ticket. So you would buy a ticket, and if you wanted it, you know, to keep it for, you know, a keepsake or whatever, when you left Taiwan, you couldn't even tell what it was for. It didn't say anything on it. He's the guy that got them to put Taiwan high-speed rail on the high-speed rail tickets. But he found out something amazing. All these green rectangular transformer boxes that are on concrete pads have a number on them. They're coordinates, and you can decipher them into GPS coordinates. So he did a test, and basically what it amounts to is you can go to any one of these boxes look at the numbers, decode them, and understand your latitude and longitude coordinates, which at the time, that was before Google Maps, and that was really amazing. But still, I find that absolutely fascinating that they had done that in Taiwan. I wanted to mention that to you because I don't know if you actually knew that or not. I know I didn't, and when Dan wrote about it, I was like, dude, man, you just like cracked the Da Vinci Code on there. That was so cool. So yeah, it is brilliant. It really is. And so what they were saying was, of course, it's not the wilderness. But the truth is, you could find yourself broken down on a road and just be able to pinpoint where you are. That's pretty cool. And for map freaks like us, it makes a huge difference. If we're looking for something or whatnot, we want coordinates. I'll find that guy's name, and I'll figure out what he was saying, and I'll get back to you on that, and I'll try to provide you with information on that system that he discovered. So it's pretty cool because I've always seen the number string. Of course, I knew it meant something, didn't know what it was, but it actually is a coordinate system. And if memory serves, it's based on the Taiwan datum, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's based on any of the the other datums. So like WGS 84, I think it's based on the Taiwan datum. I have to check that out. Anyway, doesn't matter. But whatever it is brilliant. It was. I don't know how he figured it out, but the guy's pretty smart. So anyway, we've been talking about what we're going to do. So I guess we're committed now. Guess we got to do it. So Rob, I know you got to get up tomorrow and do some important stuff. All I got to do is get up tomorrow and just do some studio work. But it's getting kind of late. I think I'm going to pull the plug. I'm going to call this a live stream. I want to thank everyone for joining. And I'll have some announcements later. And we'll figure out, of course, I'm going to announce some stuff on this channel. I'm going to point you over to wherever we end up. But this week, we're going to meet and we're going to start working on the, well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Fist bump. We're going to start working on the plans for the first project, and we're going to set a schedule, and we got to assign some action items because we have to divide the work up. That's the other thing too. Some of the stuff I've been wanting to do, I have in my archive, I probably have 10 times the amount of recorded stuff that I have actually done as far as edited videos, right? So part of it is because I don't want to bother with editing it, or it's just I get busy doing other things. And so being able to offload some of that, and it's going to be good. Yeah, me too, bro. It's going to be cool. So let me say good evening. I'm going to say Wanan and Saichen to everyone, and thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off and go back to the house, and I'm going to crash. But I'm going to try to get out to the trails this week. I'm going to start my fast again starting tomorrow, and I'm going to go as long as I can go, maybe 3 weeks. Don't know, just have to see. I go until I don't feel very good, and then I make those adjustments. So thank you so much for joining. Take care. Fist bump to everybody. Have a good evening. And we'll just say that this right now, this live stream transmission ends now.